Dragon Ball Z. We haven't been talking about this for weeks.
Sparking Zero.
Sparking Zero.
Seriously, anyone should come fight me on it.
Yeah, I'm not good at the game.
Yes, but you're not good at many things, so that's okay.
I'm good at pointless things. Remember how good I was at table tennis?
You are very good at table tennis. Like it's
I beat the guy who bought the table.
Yeah, it's very strange.
I was number one.
Why are you good at it though?
I don't know. I've never played it much.
Do you think that potentially that it's a belief system thing because you know that you just affirmate like I am good at like pointless things that you just go in like a god mode? Imagine if you had that mindset towards other things, maybe be a god at other things as well too.
It's like hitting a crossbar too. See, another pointless.
Another one.
It'd be better if I could put it in the net.
But it's because you know
I can hit the crossbar. I know I can hit the crossbar.
But it's exactly because you know you can do it.
Yeah.
Right? You have the belief system, right? Then you just do it.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if you manage to manifest that same like emotional connection to that concept that you have to other things, you would be a god at everything. That's just how it works.
I'd have too much power.
You would unlock your full potential.
I would have too much power. It would get to my head.
You would never be me.
That took longer than expected.
Why are you laughing?
Episode 6. Today we're talking about recovery.
Yes.
Enhancing recovery. Oh, enhancing. Jeez, wrong word. Maximizing recovery.
Enhancing works.
Enhancing has a weird connotation with it. Enhancing is like...
Oh, you think it's steroids?
Yeah, that's where my brain goes when you say enhance. Enhanced.
That you sound like a scrub that wouldn't take steroids.
Well,
that's why you would look at
pretty accurate.
That's not true.
What?
You broke your natty.
With BPC, apparently.
You broke your natty.
It depends who you ask. Recovery peptide.
I'm everyone's favourite natural.
Pause for silence. Alright. Recovery, let's get into it. Scarlett is demonstrating recovery right now, which I think young Daniel just captured.
Excellent.
Resting.
Yes.
Stillness. Did she sprint around the room beforehand? Yes. Did she pee and vomit? Yes. But who doesn't in a new environment?
I mean, I do that every day.
I do too. Yeah, I do a little pee and vomit every now and then.
I just get a little excited, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Recovery. Big one. You can only do as much as you can recover from.
Yes.
You cannot train hard out if you can't recover from what you're doing.
You cannot.
So this is a big piece of the puzzle. Number one, what's your first step of recovery, Brandon?
First, we'll go through like some different types of recovery. So like basic ways to look at it so that we can flesh it out. So you got like active recovery, passive recovery, mental recovery is another way that you want to look at it, right? So if we categorize those, active recovery is like mobility work, like walking, stretching, things like that. Passive recovery is like sleep massages, getting release, work like that. And then mental recovery is obviously what it is. Stress management, meditation,
stillness,
downtime, stillness, breath work, all that kind of stuff. The biggest thing for me that I always hone in for recovery, for myself and for clients, is always attacking sleep and normalizing what is good sleep. So this, again, is going to sound like very similar to previous podcasts of us having a go at everyone and why you don't know what you're doing. But yeah, no, most people think they sleep amazing and they don't. It's very, that's the funniest one.
You kind of only know what you've experienced, right?
Yeah,
you know as much as yourself, maybe your family members, partners, stuff like that. So they compare with their sleep. Like, oh no, this is good for me, but like at 6 hours, I'm good at 6 hours. Well, you've never had a consistent 8.
Yeah, people focus on time, like how much time. I slept 6 or 8 hours. It's like, but how do you know the cycles were there? Were you doing the right cycles at the right time? Even entering bed, what was happening hormonally that will allow you to enter those deeper stages of sleep? There's a lot of processes that even sleep is complex in itself, and nailing it, and it's a skill.
So simplified, what do you consider a good night's sleep? All
right, so if you can lay down in bed, and I'm just going to be very simple and generalized here. Lay down in bed, you're falling asleep easy, you're calm, your brain's not...
No chatter.
It's empty, nothing happening. And when you're waking up, you're out of bed and you feel refreshed, you're energized, you feel fresh, you feel good. You're not lingering tired, you're not feeling...
Not snoozing your alarm.
You're not snoozing your alarm. You're not struggling like, I don't want to get up. Yeah. The mental fortitude kind of has to be there. Other things, little cues is, are you waking up hungry?
Yeah.
That's another big one. People, even if you're waking up and you're feeling good, but you're not hungry, your sleep might be okay, but there's it can
elements
get better.
around your sleep as well. Eating late, like binging at night. There's a lot there around appetite as well.
Yeah.
So sleeping. So I feel like that would be a big one because a lot of people that I talk to when they can't switch the brain off when they go to bed. So there's still that chatter. Oh, I need to do this tomorrow. Oh, I didn't do this today. Or thinking about their day.
That can branch into many different things.
Yeah.
Because that can be one, you as a person and how you're interacting with your environment. So like, okay, you're a highly anxious person, you're an overthinker, things of that nature. But we're kind of playing a little bit of the chicken or the egg scenario here, in a sense of like, okay, well, if someone's severely bloated or having gut issues or gut disturbances, the vagus nerve connected between the brain and your gut there do interact, especially through neurotransmitters. So if you're having like severe gut issues, let's say your GI tract is inflamed, where through the passing of food you have little microbiota, little microorganisms that sit on the GI tract. They react to food, and these are signals for neurotransmitters in the body. So it's like if you're having tons of bloating and all these issues, this is going to cause your brain to go into high degrees of chatter. This is what like adult ADHD is, or a lot of ADHD issues stem from. It is gut related. And this is speaking from my own experience. If no one can't notice, I do have quite severe levels of ADHD. Having said that, I don't manage them. I do manage them.
You don't?
I do manage them. I do manage them. So
ADHD. You do. Over the years, you more and more as well.
Yeah.
Like, you've definitely seen that development for people who've known you over the years with your ADHD.
I used to be psychotic, but now I can manage it because I understand exactly what's going on. So like, just like on my own experience of something like even what I'm going through right now, like last night, the sleep was a little bit rough, but that was due to bloating.
Yeah.
In terms of what I did sleep hygiene wise, my approach to everything, the food quality, everything was there. I'm just having an issue digesting food fast enough, right? Mm-hmm. And so even though I'm sleeping all the way through, I'm still waking up and there is disturbances in the night. Yeah. And then what that just means is if you were to look at a graph on my sleep cycle, I'd probably be jumping out of the REM sleep and different cycles at the wrong times. And that's what can cognitively affect your recovery.
Yeah.
So a big thing of kind of what I'm getting at here is understanding, like, are you naturally an anxious person that's then disrupting your gut and causing bloating, or are you bloated from eating the wrong foods, which is then causing the anxiety and the chatter and all that?
Especially around sleep.
Which end of the spectrum are you coming in from? Is kind of what I'm getting at there.
Because there's a lot to it. There really is a lot to it. But if you're waking up, like you said, no appetite, if you're waking up and first thing you need is coffee, you need coffee, you need something to get you started instead of naturally just being able to wake up, hydrate, and start your day. These are signs that your sleep's not as good as you think it is.
Yeah.
Or maybe you realize it's not good as well. Like you already know it isn't good. But they're big signs. I find they're big signs. You need to go straight to caffeine. You need to go straight to sugar, things of that nature. Cognitively, you can't focus. You can't focus first thing. Like you can't get yourself ready quick enough. And things of that nature. They're big signs that you're not really resting as much as you think you are.
Yeah, like I think like even a little one I've said, like I've had some clients that I've dealt with where you can see the way they are as people, like they're not anxious people by nature, like they're actually quite calm and really got good work ethic and all that kind of stuff. And they actually do sleep well. They fall asleep easy, they're staying asleep all the way through, but they're not getting the benefits out of the sleep.
Yeah.
And so then this is where, as I said, it's quite nuanced because it's like, how long's a piece of string? There's so many different reasons and unique scenarios because it's environmental, it's reactions. There's so many things here that accumulate the right answer. But sometimes people they have all the tools to sleep, or you've got all that, but just your food choices alone is going back to it is causing gut issues, and that is then can be disrupting. So it's like, it's really hard to pinpoint. And when I say it's hard, it's not impossible. It just takes time, and you do have to actually do like a bit of testing and research.
It starts with awareness. I feel
awareness
starts with your awareness. Point. So be aware that it's not. Your sleep's not great, but there are things you can do and you can try. So then it's, are you eating too late? Is it the type of food you're eating? Are you eating too soon? Like, are you having dinner too early, and by the time you go to sleep in the middle of the night, you're waking up and you're starving? Because that's an issue too, right? What is it? Is it in terms of food?
So my big one that I've kind of been molding over myself here, and I'm sure there's other people in the industry that maybe have come to this conclusion, but I think a big issue that we're suffering from now, and why bloating is becoming so much of a normal thing to be like, everyone has bloating these days.
Yeah.
Like everyone, right?
Yeah.
Is neat movement.
Yeah, not moving enough through the day.
Well, you're not moving enough, but what that does is, one, it slows down your processes in your body because you're not as active as much. You're not the furnace mentality, right? You're not stoking the fire, so the body's not moving efficiently enough. But because we're not sedentary enough, that lowers net calories down.
Yeah.
So you are sedentary.
You're not active enough.
Too sedentary, sorry. It lowers your net calories. So, for example, like if my maintenance is 3,000, for example, which is not higher, but let's say that's based off, I'm on the floor, I'm training people, I'm walking, doing this and that. Now, all of a sudden, I'm just at a desk and I'm not moving. Well, now my net calories are going to drop. Yeah. But most people, they don't have that awareness where they don't adjust their calories based off what they're doing. And so then, for example, like on that day there, I'm not moving as much, digestion will be slower, but now I'm trying to force in the same amount of food. You're forcing in like the same amount of food on a day where you don't need that much.
Yeah.
Right? And now you're creating a traffic jam.
We mentioned this before as well, like I think in the last episode, about how sedentary work is the new smoking. Like sitting at a desk, sitting down is the new smoking because everyone's so inactive, right? And that works into the active side of recovery that you mentioned in the beginning is walking. So neat movement being like the basic activity you do daily that doesn't constitute as exercise, right? So walking, cleaning, or just steps in general from active work or whatever you do. But if you are sedentary and you are spending a lot of your time indoors especially, that's where you need to mindfully create time to go and do this sort of activity, and that is part of the recovery. But as you alluded to as well, there's other elements to it as well. It's not just about doing your steps, but you're also improving your digestion, which improves your appetite. You're getting fresh air, so it's nice and calming for the mind, for the body. So you're outside instead of just inside. It makes me crazy how many people sign up to a gym and use the treadmill. I don't get it.
That's crazy.
One, it's walking you. You're not walking on it. But two, like you can walk outside.
Well, it's a massive one. Just even though we are talking about recovery here, just to link into how recovery is relative to goals. So what we're talking about with NEAT, we didn't even actually say, but it's non-exercise activity thermogenesis.
Yeah.
So we talk about thermogenesis. It's the furnace mentality of the body.
Yeah.
So why NEAT? It not only just for recovery is essential, but you actually need it for the oxidization of fat cells as well too. That is what is so. What I'm getting at here, so like someone with ADHD, someone who fidgets, so me, tapping, right? Tapping, I'm always moving. So that person can burn up to an extra between like 500 to 2,000 extra calories a day.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're a fidgeter type person, right? So you have high NEAT, you're already going to need more calories than the average person, right? Yeah. So therein lies an issue for those type of people already too, because you will burn body fat at a higher rate usually, but that does tend to mean that you burn out a bit faster as well too, without understanding that you are that type of person and what you need to do around food and recovery there. But going back to it too, as our calories get lower and people are dropping weight or whatever it is that they're doing, dieting, etc., your NEAT is going to go down.
Yeah.
And therein lies an issue. There's where a bit of a feedback loop comes in, because it's like, well, if your NEAT's coming down, we are losing a high degree of body heat that is going to come from NEAT. So what I'm getting at here is, this is Andrew Huberman's shout. Think about things like fidgeting. I'm sorry, not fidgeting, sorry, shivering.
Yeah.
When we're cold, right? Well, this aligns into NEAT movement, right? It's real micro movement, small amounts of movement. When we're shivering, why we do that and what movement does, it creates heat internalized in the body. Yeah. And that's that oxidative effect there. So you can see that even for like in having a mindset of recovery of just walking and stuff like that, it's also a large part of what's going to not speed up. There's nothing that's going to make things go faster. It's relative to your genetics, but you're going to keep a nice, good, steady, consistent amount of weight loss going alongside the recovery as well too.
And this is why people who naturally move more and have higher NEAT, dependent on their work or even just hobbies, lifestyle, generally manage their body composition better. Yep. So they maintain body composition better because they move more and they have a higher expenditure as well. So it is a good tool, and we definitely use movement and advise movement like this one for recovery benefits, but also if the individual is moving more, they can also, if the goal is weight loss, lose weight on a higher amount of calories.
Exactly.
Because of that moving or fidgeting or whatever it may be. So that's where the sedentary lifestyle again causes another sort of hurdle in terms of recovery, but also goals. Actually achieving the end goal. But staying on, I guess, the trend of recovery, sleep's huge. And
there's one more we'll go through. Just I want to touch on with active is the mobility.
Oh, the mobility one. Yeah,
like stretching, things of that nature. That's what even I was always guilty of, just never stretch. Stretching is one meditative in effect. It's very calming and relaxing. But the other thing is too, is like, again, like we've talked about in previous podcasts, like if you're sitting at a desk 8-10 hours a day, there's a lot of tension building in those muscles. And the tension that's building, there's still processes, regardless of people thinking they're doing anything active or not, that are being utilized. So for example, if I'm sitting in a tense position in a certain muscle group, well, I'm squeezing the magnesium out of it to a high degree, right? So there's still takeaways that's going to be happening, and you're going to be drawing in tightness there. Now, when a muscle stays tight, that is draining on the body. It is draining on the body in a very small degree, but the way you think about it, it's like a little poke. It's annoying. So over time, it accumulates, it will become more, and that's where we just got to understand, like, our energy works like a budget. And again, if you've just had this crazy stressful big work day, and then you're going to be like, I'm going to try and now also go crazy in the gym, and then go out to dinner and then drink and have fun. It's like, well, no, your body doesn't work that way. And we have to understand how energy works. But yeah, so maintaining looseness and mobility and just staying loose and free is just another whole layer of stress that comes off the body.
You got to think, if you're putting yourself in those positions where you get very tight and dysfunctional, then your everyday movements are going to get harder because you're going to be doing them in a less efficient way. And that even comes down to exercise as well. So it is going to be more draining. It's going to take more effort because you're actually doing it in an inefficient manner. And that's just day-to-day tasks.
Yep.
And also, it is draining when you feel stiff.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's irritating.
Yeah.
So even your irritation,
it wears you down. Like, it's almost, the poke is up here too.
As silly as it sounds, but going back to really illustrating that it's a budget, right? Every time you're like, my neck's sore, that little hit or that reaction, it
drains you.
This is why understanding being a calm, like monks, not that we're going to be a monk, right? But why they can control...
Stoic monks.
Stoic monks. Why they can regulate their body temperature on command. It's because they have such a deep control of their body because they're so internally aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, not that you have to be at that level, but that's why they also don't age. They live so long. They have very peaceful life because they're calm.
Yeah.
But they don't have these reactions, but they're very mindful of what's going on with their body.
Joao. He's always calm.
He is always calm, yeah.
He's always just moving at a nice pace.
He's got the filler.
He gives me that calm vibe. When I see Joao, I feel calm.
Yeah, he
There's
does.
no crazy energy. He's just very...
Yeah, I've never seen him stressed.
He's always settled. Jake too.
Yeah, Jake's very chill.
Daniel's a ninja. He has his own energy. Young Daniel behind the camera.
I'm calm when I fight.
How many minutes did that take?
It's true.
It is true.
It is true. I'm only
as calm as you are
when I'm fighting.
I get that though, because that's like flow state.
Yeah, it's just
flow state. Your brain doesn't go anywhere else. The chatter stops. So that makes sense as well. But anything that kind of puts you in that flow state where you have to focus, we'll do that. Not recovery, but...
Yeah, flow state's a real fascinating one because it's something that we do it. Most people do it in some capacity at some point in their age, don't realize that they're doing it. But that should be a skill that we should have access to at any time. You should be able to just switch it on. Just use
hone in. Yeah. But there's a lot of distraction these days. Instagram.
Yeah, there's a lot of distraction.
Well, you get caught in the doom scrolling and things like that. It breaks your attention.
Moving on to the next bit, like with passive recovery, sleep and stuff like that. It's even something like I know because this is what I've been working on because I have such a severe degree of ADHD. So most people get one neurotransmitter issue. I've got all three, where it's serotonin, dopamine, and adrenaline is the other one. The adrenals also get kind of messed up. So for me, focus has been, as we know, super hard. The amount of work I've done, like even just talking about fighting, like why I'm calm there, it's because I'm honed in.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm focused because you might die. Right?
Yeah, there's risk.
There's risk there. So it forces the focus for me. But just with mindfulness of like what I'm doing, like when I've had days when I'm not bloated and I've slept really good, how I'm able to just hone in and zone in and keep my level of like focus is like a light or like a fire. It's the intensity of that light. So imagine on a day where you're really on the ball,
very bright.
You can get that laser beam really locked in. When you're tired, you're emotional, you're aware of what you're feeling, that light flickers, it's quite faded. And so imagine if you're trying to go through every day of your life and you don't sleep properly, you're not eating the right foods, and again, this is what your normal will be. In your world, you're like, oh, I'm fine, I'm amazing because I've achieved everything this. But I always say, it's like, okay, you've achieved it under these conditions. What could you have achieved if you were here?
Yeah.
Right? And that's a reality.
Better.
Yeah, it's a reality. Yeah.
Also, like, when you're lacking sleep, your decision making is good.
You're tired and cranky.
Your hunger hormones are out of whack as well. Ghrelins out of whack.
Yeah,
but also your
everything.
decision making is extremely poor.
Yeah.
So you're hungry with poor decision making. What's going to happen?
Yeah, so a real nerd one here. Again, another Andrew Huberman one. So, like, I'm not going to pretend to be a neuroscientist here, but I was listening to one of his podcasts and he's explaining that, like, when you're hungry or even tired, your perception of reality is actually distorted.
Yeah.
By physical definition, and it's got to do with your eyes and how they absorb information. So, what happens is how our eyes create image. It's making like horizontal and vertical lines that form a 3D image, and then it kind of like renders it in a way, right? When you're hungry and tired, the lines actually become blurred. So what happens is, the way you're perceiving information, meaning someone's body language, the way they're speaking to you, does get distorted. The filter becomes wrong. And the reason for that too is because when you're not sleeping properly, you don't produce enough dopamine because you're not getting that emotional reset.
Yeah.
So dreaming is like a massive part of your sleep. And it's like, if you never dream, then that usually tells me fundamentally through the day, food, again, the amount of stress your body's under is too much. Because there's not enough energy left over to dream. Yeah. Because dreaming requires energy. It actually, your body uses ATP, right, when you're dreaming, which that to me is a massive indicator of how important dreaming is, because your body's doesn't do wastage. It won't waste energy where it doesn't need to. And so, for example, like everyone will be able to relate to this at some degree. Like if you had a really stressful day and you have like something awful happens or bad or whatever, and you do manage to have really good sleep and you wake up and you're like, why was I mad about that the next day?
It's like sleep on it. The whole
you sleep on it. Exactly. Sleep on it. That's that term, right? Yeah. And the reason what's actually happening here, when you dream, your brain through the day, most people, because we don't have control over our brains anymore, which we should still have. You should be able to switch to prefrontal cortex, the lateral part, whether we go central brain. Most people live in central brain all the time. Now, central brain, the unfortunate part about when we're lizard brain all the time is our emotions are also swirling around in there and they're interfering with logic. So we can't make real rash, accurate decision making because emotions involved. And yes, unfortunately, emotional people, yes, you're not good at making decisions. I'm sorry, it's true. Right?
No way.
When you're emotional, you're doing things off a whim. You're not doing things off what reality is, right? You're doing off your reality, what you perceive reality to be. So where was I going with this? I was on something here. I was on a real good...
I was waiting for that.
I know, I was on a real good...
I think, but if we're like to recap awareness around sleep, so we have... You found it, didn't you?
I found it, yeah. The sleep. Okay, sorry, I'm going back. Yeah, so emotion, going back to it, just to keep here with recovery. When you're sleeping and you're dreaming, you're not in your central brain.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not going to have emotion swirling around. So everyone knows like dreams are strange and they're really weird. And you're like, why are they strange? They're very weird. Yeah. But what it's doing, it's actually organizing information you've experienced through the day in a pattern where you could observe it without emotion being involved. So then you can process exactly what you're feeling and what's going on, and then it kind of resets you. So it's called like a emotional windscreen wipers. There's wiping away all the garbage, and then you can see clearly. So without proper, consistent, good sleep, which yes is revolved around your food, what you do in the day, how you're perceiving things, and how you're approaching scenarios, that is truly how you're going to get ultimate recovery and actually be a happy, calm, chill person. You can't have those things if you're not sleeping properly. No, sleep is everything. It's literally like it gives you superpowers if you do it correctly. Yeah. And not many people do it correctly. Even I don't get to do it correctly. That's my
working on.
Yeah, working on. It's hard because I'm not saying ADHD is an excuse. It's an obstacle. Yeah. It's not an excuse. It's not going to stop me, but it's hard, So,
yeah, but you keep working at it.
Keep working at it.
Agreed. But to recap like this a bit more on the sleep, like awareness for people. So 1, if you're waking up, you're not hungry, no appetite, going straight to caffeine,
probably bloated,
no energy. Yeah. That's a sign that you're having issues with your sleep. Yeah. If you're not dreaming, that's a big one as well in terms of your quality. You're not dreaming, and you generally are waking up and you're not feeling refreshed. If you're struggling to fall asleep because you feel restless, there's chatter, you can't stop thinking about what you need to do or what you did already or whatever it may be. That's another issue that your sleep's not optimal as well. And then of course quantity is part of it, but we're mainly looking at quality, but quantity is still a big part. So if you're sleeping 5-6 hours a night and you think, oh, but I feel fine, I can function on 6. Function, or do you want to feel optimal? There's a very big difference between just getting by and thriving. So those are some quick signs from based off what we just went over, that your sleep could need work.
Now, how do you fix them?
How do you fix it? Sleep hygiene. This is, I think, the starting point for it. All right. So if we dive into sleep hygiene, what is sleep hygiene? It sounds like being cleanly, but it kind of is.
Yes,
right?
Kind of part of it.
So sleep hygiene, a few of the first things I think of are not eating too close to bed, like timing well. We should say timing your food, your last meal well. Whether you need to eat a little closer so you're not starving in the middle of the night, if you're that type of person, or if you need to make sure you don't eat too close so you're not bloated and struggling to fall asleep.
That person would be more someone who's dieting. Like if you're getting and that's low body fat. Like I see this people like, oh cool, I'm cutting now. I get to have cheat meals and I'm going to be hungry. It's like you just started.
Yeah.
Give it maybe 3 or 4 months, and then when you start getting shredded, you'll start experiencing some struggles.
Yeah. There's a long way to go before you need that. You still have those body fat stores to tap into.
You're fine.
You're okay.
Yeah.
But there is the meal timing, that last meal timing in terms of sleep hygiene. Overhead lights. Overhead lights is a big one.
Yeah.
Turning off overhead lights and keeping lights below eye level.
Why? Just quickly. Cells in your eye absorb light information, which cue different hormones. So specific morning light, the sunlight that you get from the sun there is lux units. That's how we measure the light. I believe it's called the ganglion cells in your eyes. That will cue cortisol. Adrenaline comes up through your adrenals. Cortisol goes up. Blood sugar goes up. We're awake.
Time to wake up.
Afternoon, sunset, that light, adenosines building through the day. Then that sun hits our eyes through that horizontal. That's going to cue melatonin to start coming out.
So the simple way to think of it, if you have overhead lights on at night, your body's going to register that as the sunlight, and it's like you've put a cap on your melatonin. Melatonin being what's going to help you sleep. So taking melatonin isn't going to help you sleep. Don't take melatonin.
You also build resistance if you take too much of it over time.
Blunt your receptors.
Yeah,
so
it's not good.
The answer isn't taking melatonin. It's addressing the issue that's stopping your melatonin production or your utilization of it. So you don't have a problem with melatonin. You have a problem with your sleep hygiene. So overhead lights is a really simple one. And I've met people who've never slept well in their life, and literally all they do is just flip the switch off and had lamps on instead, and they start sleeping. Brandon broke it down to the T with that one, but simply don't put a cap on your melatonin.
Lamps are okay.
Lamps are good. Below eye level.
Yeah, so we've adapted over thousands of years because of campfires of low light below that horizontal. So it's like a horizontal line. So if the light's coming below your horizontal, you're usually okay. But I also say don't you love these lights. I hate them. Those real white, bright.
Oh, I don't like it at night.
They're awful.
I like that light. We just changed our light downstairs.
Yes.
I love it because it wakes me up.
Warmer golden lights are a little bit better. Also, too, computer screens. These ones. Most of them have them built in now where it does like a
night mode
thing. But there's a really good app. A lot of people use it already. It's called Flux. And it goes off the actual daytime cycles. So it starts lowering.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it starts so you can
I just put mine on night mode and it has a
so this will go. It will start getting darker as the sun goes down, and it basically just matches the sunset. So, and you can set it to your wake up times and stuff. Yeah. So if you are a person on the screen, because people wear those blue blockers, don't do that. Don't do no. Like there is a time and a place for those. But in front of a computer screen is actually not it. Yeah. You want to use the screen as a sun. Use it as a sun. Right?
That's a clever tool. I didn't know about that, honestly.
Yeah, you can mimic it. It's really good.
But the point of that is screen time. So your screen time at night will impact you as well. Especially you're trying to calm down and you're scrolling through Instagram and you're seeing things that are perking you up or exciting you. You don't want that. You want calming. Yep. So screen time as well, especially phone in your face, not great.
Yep.
So you want to be limiting your screen time. Yes, if you're unwinding, you're watching something at home. Okay, but again, like you said, change the screen so it's the suitable type.
Yep.
That app. How do you spell it?
It's like here. Let me get it because I'm dyslexic. It's literally F.LUX.
There you go. I'm gonna download that.
It's very like a weird, not weird, but it's an old way of installing. It looks a bit dodgy, the website, but it's not.
It's fine. They won't steal your information.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Yeah, it's fine.
But screen time is a big one because a lot of people, again, they sit in bed on their phone. So how are you going to fall asleep? They're doom scrolling. And
so again, the science on that there, people go, oh, I'm fine, it doesn't really affect me. Well, you don't know, because again, if you don't have awareness of how your central nervous system is working, you won't have awareness on this. And that's, again, good thing, we're learning. But when you're watching something or you're taking in information, you're telling your brain to absorb.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of off. We're active. We're literally turning it to be active. So it's even the things you watch will affect your sleep quality. Like if you're watching true crime murders before bed, that is going to affect your sleep, because regardless, that is, even though you're used to it, this is the thing, right? Just because you watch something over a long time and you become desensitized to it, doesn't mean you're still being affected by it. Watching people be killed and chopped up and murdered are not nice things to go to bed. It's not calming. I've actually come across like a lot of people that watch things like that before bed, and they do all the right things with food and stuff, and their sleep's always bad. Like, not always bad, it's not always where you expect it to be. It's like, it could be better, because you're stressing yourself out. When a lot of bad things have been normalized in society these days that we see daily, they're actually not good, right?
The average person isn't healthy, so don't seek normal.
Yeah, like
don't seek normal.
Like I'm gonna go hard on this one here. Like blood test markers, just as to show what we're talking about. Like the blood test markers, like, oh, my bloods are fine. It's like, yeah, okay, it's based off a morbidly obese person. That's the standard. Like, that's what you're comparing yourself to. So if you're, just to show what we're kind of illustrating here, if your blood results go, oh, you're healthy. You're healthy compared to a morbidly obese person who's unhealthy.
It's not even you're healthy, it's you're not sick.
You're not sick, which is not
how you want to base your health. You know what? I have the standard of I'm not sick.
That's staying in the danger zone. That is opening the door to potential things happening.
Again, Australia has a curative health mindset, which means we wait until there is a problem.
She'll be right.
And then we deal with it. But that's even in the medical system. We need to adopt a preventative health mindset.
That's weird. It's almost like you can make money off things doing that way. What?
No.
Who said that?
The medical industry is the most profitable with the least results. No.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't trend on the...
That doesn't mean medicine's bad, just to be clear, but just...
You need it. If you have missing an arm, go see a doctor. Don't see a PT. I'm not going to be able to help you.
But have your own standards of health.
Yes.
Don't go off the norm, because the norm is unhealthy.
Exactly.
We have a health crisis.
Yes.
But other one with the sleep hygiene, another big one is your room. One, if you work in the same room that you sleep in, that's not good.
Or eat as well.
Or eat,
don't eat or work.
Eat, work. You're going to relate it to that. You want to relate your bedroom to sleep.
Don't shit where you eat.
Don't shit where you eat.
Don't shit where you eat.
Don't shit the bed.
Don't shit the bed. It's not the same saying, but there's a correlation there.
Yeah, so keep it for sleep.
It needs to be separate. Yeah.
When you do go to bed, you just okay, this means I'm gonna. When I have coffee, I know it's time to train. That's like how I sit down, I have my coffee, I have my routine. It's time to train. Or it's there's obviously there's other times of the day with that as well. But you build a routine, you build a pattern. Your body starts to know what's going on. But the bedroom is a big one. Also, darkness. It should be dark. You shouldn't be able to see your hand in front of your face. So you want the bedroom to be pitch black if you can. You may need to invest in good blinds.
I literally just put because I got blinds, but I'm in an apartment and you can't really change them. So I just got black.
Yeah, the blackout
black blanket and just covered it, so it's super dark. Because I literally have a street light that flashes right onto my bedroom.
Yeah, that's going to cause problems.
Yeah, it's not
so you want it pitch black.
Yeah,
can't see your hand in front of your face, and cool as well.
Yes.
Temperature. If it's hot.
Yeah, and the underlining thing here is understanding circadian rhythms and how that pattern works. Yeah. Again, going back to light cues is the middleman. There's the endpoints, and then we're doing what you do during the day, and these sleep hygiene things are going to fill the gap. Another thing too, if you're finding there is a circadian rhythm issue, shift workers. If you're a shift worker, I'm sorry to tell you, your job is carcinogenic. I'm sorry.
It is.
And that's specifically rolling shift. If you're doing night shift, but it's consistent, it's not worse. It's fine. You can actually adapt around that. But if you're doing night shift and day shift, and this shouldn't be legal. Honestly, it shouldn't be legal. It's so awful.
Poor nurses.
Yeah. So try and eat your lunch in the sunlight, or whenever you're having your lunch relative to when your shifts are rolling. So even here it gets crazy. You want to try and tell your body when you're getting the light cues to know to get the melatonin. For shift workers with all this, because if you are people who are listening and you are a shift worker, you're like, well, how do I do this? Invest in a ring light or some sort of light that you can use that can be your sun, because you might be waking up at night and you're like, yes, you're going to need to flash light into your face to go, yes, now this is my daytime.
Wake your brain up.
Yeah, brutal, but
the rules change.
Yeah, rules do change.
That's a very specific one. That's a tricky
Very
one.
specific, but yes, does need to be said.
I feel like we've covered a lot of sleep, and we could do a whole podcast on sleep, multiple.
Yeah.
But what are some other areas of recovery that we need to prioritize?
So this will be like mental recovery, and this is going to align to sleep, right? So what you're doing during the day. So people don't have downtime these days. Mm-hmm. We live in a society. We do live in a society though that is demanding of a bit of but I challenge it because I think a lot of what people are chasing in life are pointless and meaningless. So like we put a lot of pressure on us, so we're chasing the highest paying job, gotta have the house, gotta have this, gotta have that. I've touched on this many times before. I think a large reason to this is social media. People comparing their lives, like, oh, that person's married with kids, I need to do it, putting pressure. Crazy. So we all live crazy lives, and a lot of people are just going mental out there. So downtime, yes, you need to recover. So why do we work full-time jobs, but you have to have by law 4 weeks of holidays at the end of the year? It's because you're not an endless renewable energy source. Yeah. If your body was, we would be hooking humans up to like power supplies and using them to light everything. It would be androids. It would be androids because it doesn't exist. You are endless, and fatigue is accumulative. I was having a conversation with a client about this, and he was like, but I was doing 2 full-time jobs like 2 years ago. Why can't I do it anymore? It's like, because you've maintained doing that. Yeah. And you're burning out. There's a point
where your body just says, nope.
Yes.
And forces a reset on you.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like another way to think about this, and you can see how it correlates. It's like, if you get a really morbidly obese person, if they become morbidly obese, they might not be unhealthy right now. The longer you stay that way, the more you're going to deteriorate. The same way if someone's underweight, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right? You're okay now, but you're going to deteriorate.
Yeah. Brain degeneration, things like that. Yes. Like you're going to have problems. It's just a matter of time.
Yes. Yeah. And so things that you want to be doing, breath work.
Huge.
Breathing mechanics. So simple.
And that could be as simple as just stopping and just deep breath.
Yeah, so people, for whatever reason, and again, we spoke of meditation before, but people think it's like some mystic, voodoo, weird, like...
I can float when I do it.
I can too. I actually, if you're not floating, you're not meditating.
How high do you float?
I can do it upside down.
No way.
Yeah. I basically, when I do it, like 6 arms come out behind me, and I transcend into God mode.
I'm only up to 5 arms.
I get my God key, and I just like, blue light comes out of me, and... Although I do like the red key a little bit more, just saying. Just
red key's pretty cool.
I don't know why, it just seems kind of cool.
Anyways.
But yes, breath work. So people, I get this a lot too with meditation and breathing. Like, I can't focus. Yeah, cool. That's the point. That's what you're doing.
To learn how to focus.
So if you do really struggle, like you can't, like you're finding your brain is just all over the place, and we've touched on, you can kind of put the pieces as to why that would be happening. But sometimes you can just, sitting there and doing one thing at one time is practice for that. So like stillness. Go for a walk and just walk. Don't take music. Don't take your phone.
Yeah.
Just be in the moment. Just focus on walking. Sitting down and just listening to music and focusing on just what you're listening to. Being present with that one thing, right? Because this also ties into like immersion and training. A little side note about like I was having a conversation again. Same client actually this morning. We're talking about. He's like, wow, like. All the cues you give me, like that takes my whole mind and the whole focus of what I'm doing. I'm like, yes, good. That's what it.
You should be focused.
When you're training, you can't be thinking, when I get home. No,
that's how you get hurt too.
That's how you get hurt,
especially when you're on your own.
Yeah, like I saw a good video. I hate these videos like ragging on people in you, but this one was genuine. Like this person needed to be ragged on. They're on a leg press on their laptop and they're sitting there working.
No.
Yeah, I'm not just pumping leg press just for
you can't do
that. You're not doing anything, and also you're just hogging a machine there at that point. If someone wanted to use it properly.
If I have a client that comes in frantic from work, a bit rattled, stop. What do you need to do? Just make the phone call.
Do what you're gonna do. Get out of the way. Do it.
Just get it done, and it's all right. Don't rush. Let's settle. Let's have your mind here, because your quality goes down dramatically.
It does. And I'm going to be honest, this is a Brandon thing because I'm one of these people and I'm very direct. You're irritating to be around when you're frantic and anxious and annoying. I'm sorry, but it's not a nice trait. It's not a nice trait. Look, I understand. Yes, because when you're being frantic, stressed, and anxious all the time, you might not realize it, but you're forcing people into your reality of dealing with your bullshit. And
do I think there's a difference. There's dumping. There's coming in and dumping.
Yes, you're dumping it.
Emotionally dumping on people. And then there's like, man, I had a really bad day.
Yes.
This is what happened. And you're venting and then you're having a conversation.
Not a problem,
it's
right?
different.
But that person has awareness.
Yeah,
they're
exactly
aware
right.
of what they're feeling. Like, so we do. I have clients like, listen, I've had a bad day today. I don't want to talk. I just want to get training done. Cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Just do that.
That's all right.
They want to talk about it. We'll talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. We're not going to talk
That's
about it.
my question too. Are we leaving this or are we talking about it?
Depends on the
Do you want to
person.
talk about this or should we just leave this for now till you're ready?
Most when I work with clients, people think that like trainers we're prying because we're like wanting to know about your personal life, but it's not that. I need. Well, yes, it is that, but we need to understand how you are as a person and what you're dealing with because yes, what I prescribe to you, training and food, is going to impact those things. Like if you're super stressed and you're not sleeping at all, and you're like, I'm fine, I'm okay, and I'm pushing through. I'm like, okay, cool, we're going to adapt your food, even though I would be able to tell, like I wouldn't do that anyway. That's not going to work. So I need to know what's happening with you, not because I'm going to sit here in psychology and be like, okay, this is what.
But
right?
that's coaching. It's coaching. You need to know the person you're coaching. It's like taking your car to a mechanic. They tell you what's wrong with your car without opening the hood.
Yes.
Like popping the hood. It's like, how did you know that? You didn't even look.
Yes.
You don't know what's going on with my car.
Speculation.
But we need to know, we need to understand you
yes.
and your traits and your, like a bit more about your personality so we can actually tailor the experience to you, of course, which is why we need that connection. We need that, build that trust. Yes. So stillness, breath work, meditation, great things to do to calm the mind. So in terms of recovery from the mind, journaling, and some of these might not be your thing. Maybe it's because you haven't done it long enough. You haven't stuck to it long enough.
Or I would ask, why do you think you're weirded out by them, or you can't do them? What's that?
Weirded out.
What's that feeling you get that goes, I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do
why?
Like a diary.
Yeah. Why? Why do you feel weak when you do it? I want to know why. Get in the comment section. Roast me with some of the things I say. If you don't like them, challenge me on them.
Yeah. But we've spoken about gratitude journaling and things like that already.
Very, very important.
Just getting it out. It's the same. But it's the same thing as like talking to someone as well, right? You just say it and then you like start to figure out your problem as you're even saying it.
Yeah, I've
Stillness does.
I've seen that. I've literally had that with someone. You say something and you hear them speak, and
they
like
realize as they're saying it.
Oh yeah.
Sauna, actually, I'm looking at it right now.
Recovery is amazing.
Sauna is incredible for a few reasons, but for a lot of reasons. But if we're on the trend of like that stillness, you don't take your phone into the sauna, all right? And so there's no phone. You're in there with your thoughts, focusing on what you're breathing.
Focus on what you're feeling. Focus on the struggle.
That's a really great way as well. Like as a recovery tool, sauna, ice baths, things of that nature.
They're good because they put the body into a shock that it's not used to, and that's adaptation. Your body you will adapt to that fatigue and that intensity. That's very important because what that you're adapting to is stress and understanding how to manage stress. Because stress of course, stress can be bad. And it can get really high, and that's what it is. When stress cortisol goes too high, everyone will suffer from it. You'll capitulate. It's about when people are good at managing stress. It's not that they're just highly stressed and they're not reacting to it. It's just that they're managing that level. They're not letting it get to that level because we have tools in place to not let it elevate that high. Because that's the red zone, and no one's exempt from that. That crazy frame. We've all had it and experienced it. It's not a nice place to be. So doing these things, they might be a little bit extra, and that means you're sacrificing a little bit of your Netflix time or gaming time or whatever it is, but if you're only just like living and enjoyment, there's a lot more parts in your life there to be a more complex, evolved human to be able to achieve more things.
You'll also, I don't actually think it takes away from any of those things because
you're also enjoy them too.
More present because of it. So if you can, let's say your thing is gaming, but you can sit down knowing, okay, I've finished all my work for today. I don't need to do anything else. I can actually sit and enjoy this. There's no you shouldn't be doing this right now.
Yes.
You didn't clean the house. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. There's none of that chatter.
No.
It's just
you're free to do it.
Same thing with sleep, right? When it's time to go to bed, you're prepared for tomorrow. Yeah.
People relate to that. When you go on holidays, that's when you feel like, I can actually switch off. It's like, why can't you do that when you go home? Right? I asked that question because you said that before too. I actually wanted to touch on that as well. I spoke to you about this myself. I realized I'm one of these people. Like, if I have tasks that need to be done, whether it's wash the car or pay this bill or go do that thing you need to buy at shops, I'm ADHD, and some people you might relate to this and not realize that you have this as well too. It's called a pile system. You do this as well, where you pile onto one day. You're like, deal with it later. So I'm free now. You're free now, but now you're disturbing today's peace because you have that thing that's not done, right? And then you're piling it, so you're making that list big on that day.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna hit that day and like, oh, I gotta do all these things. Now I'm frantic and stressed, right? Deal with what you need to deal with now. If you get home and it's like, oh, I gotta go to the shops and do this, I'll do it tomorrow. No. Do it. Sacrifice that free time, because yes, that means now you won't have that little bit of free time. But like what George just said there, you're going to do a bit more work. The reward becomes more rewarding because you're doing more work, and it takes more time to get there, and you can enjoy it more. And like if you're always rewarding yourself and you haven't really done things, or it just becomes habit, then it's just a habit. It's not rewarding anymore, and that becomes an issue too, because then the things you enjoy now are not going to do their job.
Yeah, it doesn't actually settle you down and help you recover.
Yeah,
because you're almost guilty while you're doing it. You feel guilt while you're doing it. You shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
And this even goes for it's a lack of presence as well that ends up happening. So that even when you're with your family or your friends, you're not really present. You're thinking about other things. You see this a lot with business owners. The best advice, like in terms of like switching off, the best advice I got was Mark, of course. You never switch off as a business owner. If you have a family, lots of kids, things like that. You don't really switch off. But what you do is you're on standby. So when you turn off your TV, you don't go unplug it from the wall. You just press the button. But it's ready to turn back on whenever it needs to.
Yep.
So it's achieved. That's the standard you try to achieve. Just
that would be a
standby.
I would say on that's a more expanded way of doing it. To do that, all the stuff that we've suggested here is in place. And
it still is, yeah.
It has to be in place to be able to do that, because if you try and go in standby mode and you're not practicing these modalities, it won't work.
It won't work. And I think that's more, especially for our special busy professionals that we train. It's very relatable but I can't switch off and I don't want to completely switch off. So just think of it as standby. It's a different way to think about it.
The big thing too, I think a lot of people treat they're I've done this too, where I'm going to go home and game and do that. It's like, but why do I feel more stressed now? Sometimes too, the thing we're doing is stressful. Like I want to watch a show, but it's stressful, or the game's stressful, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at here is when we're doing breath work, people think it's boring and stuff. But believe it or not, dopamine's really fascinating. Like my coach said this to me once, and I was like, that's true. Because I'm like, but I have to play we need really intense games or really crazy
stimulation,
high stimulation just to feel dopamine. How come people in poor countries they're in the rice field all day and then they sit down and eat and just sit down with family, and that's the most enjoyable thing for them?
Yeah.
That chemical reaction they're having in their brain, if we scan my brain and their brain, it's not different. But why is it more enjoyable for them? Right? It's because they're wired, and their dopamine, they've got the right balance of ratio of hard work and the reward of enjoying simple things.
Again,
right?
Gratitude again.
It's great. It is. It's gratitude. But what I'm getting at in our worlds, we actually reward ourselves too much.
We do,
and that's why we need more stimulation to feel that same level of what that person with just family or just sitting down enjoying a meal. How many times? Think about this. We don't even enjoy our food. We just eat it, or you're talking.
Slam it down.
When do we sit there? It sounds weird, but this is normal to me now. This used to be weird to me. This is normal to me now, because this is something for gut health that we have to do, is eat slow, be mindful of eating. But just sit there and enjoy the flavors. Focus on what you're actually experiencing. There was a time and a place before phones are around where that was how you had to enjoy things. This is what you had to be happy. But no, we need Instagram. I need this. I need this. I need sugar. Now I need all this.
He doesn't get it. First, all right. You don't order based on what you want. You order the most extravagant thing on the menu, right? Looks the best.
Yep.
And then don't let anyone else eat. You take photos of it. There's lots of photos, right?
In the moment.
This is where the human reward comes in. You post on Instagram, and then people like it. And then you're like,
oh, I feel good.
I feel great. You don't have to eat the food, by the way. You can just
Yeah, it was did you see that video or that photo that was going around? It was I'm sure everyone saw this. It was on New Year's, and it had these crazy fireworks display, and it just had every phone, people looking at their phones.
I don't
no
get it.
No one was there.
Just enjoy it. No, look, okay. If you go to a nice place and the meal looks good, whatever, take a photo. I don't actually care. But be in the moment.
I do want to point out something. I remember. So my Japan trip, I didn't take that many photos.
I got like that after the first few days.
I took a couple, I had little things, but I wanted to kind of experience it and do it.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding. That is still, that holiday I can remember more vividly than anything else, because I was just there. I remember some of the things I was looking at, just being there, just looking at it, just taking it in and just feeling it. I was like, I can go back. If I look at a photo, I can't get that same emotional feeling out of it. I can't, because I don't, you know why? Because what I'm remembering, I'm not remembering what I saw. I'm remembering the moment.
Remember how you felt.
The smells, the sensations, all the feeling. How can I do that? Well, it's practicing meditation, mindfulness, you can't do those things if you don't practice it. Like, again, to circle back, or something I was like going to go at. So I said this before, like most people sit just central brain.
Yeah.
Like I remember with my coach, we were practicing meditation. So meditation, on getting to that prefrontal cortex, the frontal lobe of your brain, very hard to do. It's a weird little trick that you can do. It's real fascinating. I don't know if I want to try it out. Like it's 2 seconds. Yeah, I'm pointing at you. Do this. Tell me if you can do this. You might be able to do it. If you, it's
am I hitting weird. A special beam cannon?
You're going to hit the special beam cannon. So you touch the top of your brain here, right? And I want you to be genuinely real with me here, right? And I want you to look up to your fingers. And I want you just to focus on the frontal part of your brain and just try and shift your focus to keep your eyes closed. Keep your eyes closed. Just focus. And tell me if you can actually feel a little sense. I'll shut up.
What am I looking for?
You're going to think about the frontal part of your brain here. And I want you to think about like where your focus is of like honing in onto the sensations you're feeling. And feel the heaviness of your brain there. Keep looking up towards your brain as well too. You'll start to feel a bit of a heat. Do you feel a little bit of a burning sensation, even faint?
I feel lightness, to be honest.
Okay, that lightness, what you're feeling there, that's actually blood glucose is moving through your prefrontal cortex. It's a physical thing now, because what you're doing, you're channeling your focus there. It's like a muscle.
If I didn't have coffee before this, maybe.
But do you see how it's faint?
I was also concerned I was going to open my eyes and your clothes were going to be off. And it was all an elaborate prank.
That does happen sometimes.
When I meditate or do things, I'm feeling it now. I feel like this very just light is the way I can describe it. It's like everything's like softer.
So think of this. This will make the brain go, I see what you're getting at here. Do you see how that little faint connection is the same thing of when you're doing a clamshell or something, you're trying to find your glute.
And you find the muscle,
feel it.
Yeah.
That's what that is. The reason that it's faint is because it's faint, right? Even if I haven't practiced it for a while, it's quite faint. I had bad sleep last night, so my focus is not there. But that intensity of what you can feel going into that flow state, that's where flow state comes from. That intensity will build, and you should be able to literally shift your brain from here to zoned in. When that's happening, what you're getting there, you know when you're fighting and you're just throwing things out, okay, but then it starts, now we count it, and then you start flowing, you've just shifted to that part of the brain. But it's just gaming, you get it.
Yeah.
You ever play a game and you're just like, you're just going, and you're just in it, and you're just doing things without thinking. Time. Ultra instinct, right? That's prefrontal cortex.
Yeah.
Gaming and the phones ruin that connection to it because it forces it easily. When you're driving, have you ever been driving and you get to destination and you just done it? Flow state. That's that.
I love flow state. Like that. Yeah. That's for me, that's like the thing I chase in my hobbies. I want to completely switch off and just be in the zone with that thing. That's why I like fighting. That's why I always liked it. And gaming, because I feel I'm competitive with it as well, so I'm really into it.
It draws you in.
It draws me in. I don't think about anything. I'm like so locked in on what I'm doing.
Yeah, but you get that skill built up from meditation or forms of it, right? And then that applies again to how, even when you fall asleep, that's that focus of not being active brain, I call it, where you're actively thinking about things. Like if you're forcefully thinking about things, you're not going to sleep. If your brain's just drifting off into those weird thoughts, that's where you'll start to go off. That takes level of focus to do.
A lot of people as well will mention nervousness, anxiousness. These are the sorts of things that they feel. If you dedicate some time to breath work, meditation, it is a huge, I don't want to say the word fix, but it's a huge tool to manage your anxiety, manage your nervousness, because you can just get the body back into its calm state.
You can take control.
You can stop panic attacks.
If
you're prone to panic attacks, they teach you how to breathe. That's what they teach you.
Yeah.
It's breath work.
Because you're with breathing, right? Like, for example, I believe there's so many different types of breathing patterns and times and holdings. It's like training. It's full its own thing, right?
Yeah, 100%.
There's breath types of controls of breath that you can do that will slow your heart rate down.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's like a 8-second up with like a 7-second draw out and like a pause. That will slow your heart rate. There's ones where you breathe in heavy and you slowly control the breath out. That will regulate your central nervous system. Like Andrew Huberman, touched on him a couple of times today. He does a deep rest, non-sleep rest protocol, like a 10-minute one. That's an amazing one. That one's a full crazy one because it's not it's a different meditation. It's a body meditation, and it's about taking control back. But it's really crazy. After you do it, the sensation you can feel almost the control over your body again. You realize how much unawareness you have of that proprioception of your body, of what's happening. And it's just crazy when you do it, when it brings you back and you see like, oh my God, there's so much levels to what humans can do and what we're capable of.
If you think this is some weirdo witch doctor stuff as well, you need to do this.
Yeah, go try it.
If you're that person, you need to do it. You have no awareness.
Just like context, right? Like I come from like Western Sydney, or Essays bar, like this and that. And
now you're like...
And now, like, there would be a time if you said all this stuff to me, I'm like, you're a weirdo, bro. Like, what's this? This cringe, right? And then you do it, and you're like, I'm the weirdo.
I remember...
I am the weirdo here.
My client, Ellen, she was warming up. I think I was upstairs. And she was warming up before our session. You were training Victor. And I came down and she's just like smiling and she's laughing. She's like, it's so funny. They're just sitting there for the last like however long, just talking about how much they appreciate the sun. And all these like very stoic, like calm sort of conversations. Like she's like, here I am. She's like just warming up. They're just talking about, oh, the sun is this and this is that.
That's true. Like you like sometimes it goes back to what I was saying before about dopamine and the intensity of it, right? Like, I can have sometimes I'm out walking my dog and, like, it's just a nice weather, you get the breeze and the grass and it's all trained. You just sit there and you just think. I know it sounds, like, weird, but just appreciate, like, the beauty of the world and, like, what you have. Like, what you have. Like, I had I'm saying a conversation with a client where he's always chasing the next thing. And I'm like, he told me, I always got told, like, I've got to achieve, I've got to get everything done. Like, it's, like, overachiever mentality. I'm like, I pointed out to him, and I could see his brain and his eyes like flip because he never thought about it. And he's like, yeah, but I have to win. I gotta get the next thing. I need to be successful. I'm like, you have a house, you own your house, you're married with 3 kids, you've had 3 successful careers, all your business is done.
You've won.
You've won. You should be enjoying it.
You're winning.
But you're doing all these other things and not enjoying it. You're not there present, understanding what you have. Sometimes just taking a stop to smell the roses and just appreciate what you have around. But like what I'm getting at here is you can be just in the moment there, just experiencing how beautiful the sun is, the breeze, the weather. Yeah. That should be a beautiful enjoyment. If you can't enjoy those things,
recovery.
Your body is probably your mind and your body is it's not broken, but it's being interfered with.
Because you could always have more.
You can
always have less as well.
Yeah.
You can have less, you can have more.
Personally, I like being able to be an absolute killer and like when we fight, I'm going to murder you and it's death now. But also I can go out and just be like, hey, the sun is beautiful here. Because like, I'll switch kick you if you talk shit. I will. But
it always comes down to the switch kick. It's not fair.
The switch kick is deadly.
And disgusting.
Yeah, George is broken.
Joel bashed me.
You got bashed. You get bashed by everyone, George, just saying. You get broken a lot. I do get broken a lot though too. That's not true.
This one sucks though.
Because you switch kick. It needs to get better.
That's not true. You know my switch kick is incredible.
Switch kick is pretty
We always end up getting onto the topic of switch kicks.
Fight companion?
Stop moving my leg.
Fight companion?
We should do a fight companion. We should watch like the UFC fights. We'll have one viewer and
we'll
break it down.
And we'll break down the actual... I actually saw someone doing that a little bit and they're talking about like... Oh, I love this. This is so true. Just on fighting. Sorry. There's like... Striking is a sport of extension. Grappling is a sport of flexion. Train the opposite of it, which is exactly what we kind of do. And I was like... there's people starting to break into the fight world with stuff too.
Because it's getting mainstream, more and more mainstream, so there's more people breaking it down.
Fight companion, just I know even no one's gonna say anything.
Or we just do like gaming.
Sparking, watching me beat everyone up on
Sparking Zero.
Just who can
I'm not good enough at the game yet. Scarlett has been very good.
She has been. You haven't even noticed. If Ronnie was here, it would be chaos. Like you would have seen a tail flip or
Scarlett would just chase him everywhere, and then she'd just give up and walk away from him. And then
there would probably be a hole in the wall too, because one of them would have gone through it for sure.
Yeah.
Look at her.
Look at this cute dog. My daughter. Bring your daughter to the work day.
Yes, Scarletta.
She's so funny. Like we were driving here, we had our music go. See, like that. I actually had one of those moments.
There you go.
Nice weather. Where I had Scarlett in the back, and we had nice music playing. And there's all these kids like at the window like this because they see Scarlett, and then she's all dopey face.
See, I appreciate it. Like,
it's a little moment. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. It could always be worse.
Brandon,
you're not here next week. You missed the next 2 podcasts.
I'm going back to my homeland. Back to
Thailand.
Thailand.
Looking for a temporary co-host. Can't have hair.
Yeah.
Has to be loud and erratic.
Has to have the best switch kick and be as jacked as me. But look, I'm going to be honest. You're not going to find it.
Oh gosh.
You're not going to find
Always
it.
comes down to
I can't be replaced.
What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
You can get Ronnie on as an interview.
Ronnie is pretty close.
Yeah, Ronnie talk about lifting. Guess. He's jacked, man. He's shredded.
Ronnie is very jacked.
Yeah, he's absurdly jacked.
Let's recap the recovery again quickly. So, sleep. Prioritize the sleep. Go, rewind. We told you what to do. Rewind it. You have your sleep tips there. Prioritize your sleep. Active recovery as well. Move. Get your body moving. Go outside. Go for a walk. Stretching as well. Stretching is a big one we discussed as well. Sleep hygiene. Massages as well. Utilize massage. Most people have a health plan. They get a rebate on their massage work anyway. So
I won't say anything directly. Just get a massage, but don't get cracked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying anything, but just don't get
contort and twist
or cracked or snapped or
relief.
Refer to Simpsons episode pushing people over a garbage can and cracking their back.
Danny, can you cue in Homer Simpson pushing people over the?
Yeah, you got to add that in.
The trash can now, please.
You have to do it.
Oh.
Dad, are you okay?
Yeah. In fact, I feel fantastic.
And now, on that bombshell.
We didn't say anything.
On that bombshell.
We'll see you next week.
I won't. Goodbye. I'm off.
Potentially with a guest or a co-host.
I feel dirty now. I don't want to go. That's my spot.
We'll zoom you in from Thailand.
Oh yeah, you could zoom me in from Thailand. I could do Zoom podcast. Yeah. Sawadee krap, kun sawadee ma, kun ma jak te nai.
We are out.
Goodbye.